UPSC defines the personality test as a purposive conversation, a conversation with a purpose. The difference between a conversation and a viva voce is that there is an exchange of ideas which will be happening. It's not that they will give you a very academic kind of a question and you will be giving a fixed kind of a response. In a conversation, there will be exchange of thoughts actually. So, the detailed application form of each candidate will be in front of the board. So, from somewhere there, the board can start the questions. It need not be directly from the detailed application form, but the interview can be, it can start from any point and it can end in any point. The board is not sitting there with a list of questions. So, as it is a conversation, the questions will be generated automatically. So, first and foremost, the candidate has to understand that you shouldn't be too rigid and prepare too many answers beforehand. You brush up all the areas related to your background and things like that, but having a very rigid written kind of responses ready is not going to help because it will cut the natural flow of the conversation. Whatever be the questions asked by the board, the candidate can think on the spot and respond. Trust your all these years of experience and knowledge for that. While looking at the detailed application form, something can trigger the question. Say for example, in my own case, the first question for me was why I went to Mysore for my higher studies. This was followed by a question on whether Tipu Sultan can be considered as a freedom fighter. So, since I done my post-graduation in Mysore, that word Mysore, they asked a direct question and from that word, they asked a question related to Mysore. So, this is how it is, it happened in my case. Any other person, they need not look at this application form. News in the paper on that day could be the starting point of the interview. So, the biggest problem with many of the mock interviews around is the board will try to address all the key words in the DAF in order to give the candidate, areas to explore. But in an actual interview, it's not a detailed examination of each and every keywords in the DAF or the detailed application form. So, in actual interview, anything and everything could be your question. And they may not be touching upon all the areas in your DAF. So, this is the fundamental difference with the many of the mock interviews and the actual interview. So, the candidate should think about the possible areas from each keywords, but shouldn't just stick to that. As I said, be ready with your preparation, read about the current happenings, think about not only the serious things, but casual things and the changes happening in society, etc. And be ready for any kind of questions. Again, I would like to compare it with a cricket match. You won't exactly try to predict each balls in an over, but if a full toss is given or a Yorker is given, you should play accordingly. The same applies to personality test as well. So, ultimately, how natural and will be your response based on the on-the-spot thinking, that is ultimately going to give you mark. So, trust your instincts and be natural and talk the way you normally talk. You will be just fine.